Welcome to Power Your Profits podcast, your friendly guide in bringing your business revenue to the next level. Listen as host Susie Carder hears inspiring stories of success from her fellow entrepreneurs and transformational leaders. Prepare to make significant change to your strategies as they unravel the secrets of building multi-million-dollar businesses and the most effective tips on finance, marketing, and sales accountability. If you want to make your first step towards explosive business growth, this is the right podcast for you. Without further ado, here is your host, Susie.
Welcome to this episode of Power Your Profits. I am your host, Susie Carder, and I am so excited that you're here. You're going to love today's guest. So Simon Severino helps business owners in SaaS services, which is a software company that helps run their company more effectively in sales that soared. It's trusted by Google, Roche, Consilence Ventures, Amagen, Abi. He has created strategy sprints, a method that doubles revenue in 90 days by getting owners out of the weeds and focusing on the highest income producing activity. What I love is there's tools, right? He's giving meat and potatoes. He's a TEDx speaker, contributor to Forbes and Entrepreneur Magazine, member of the SVBC, Silicon Valley Blockchain Society. Please welcome my guest, Simon, and it's such a delight to have him. Oh my gosh, Simon, I'm so excited. You're my brother from another mother. Like, we speak the same language. I geek out with the tools and strategies that you do because I'm like, where were you when I was a young entrepreneur not knowing my hiney from a hole in the ground? So welcome.
Susie, let's do this. Hello, everybody.
So tell everybody what your sweet spot is, right? Who do you serve? So we're really clear on your magic, your genius, because I only have geniuses on my show. I just want to say that.
I did fell in love with the go-to-market topic 21 years ago, and every day I've been showing up to help people with go-to-market. And right now at Strategy Sprints, which is my company and my product and my program, in 90 days, we double revenue for B2B businesses. They need to be at around 35K, so they have something that the world wants and takes, and we can double it from there because one part is systemizing and one part is scaling, and that's our superpower. That's what we do. The Strategy Sprints coaches do only scale, and we love it because it's intellectually stimulating, Do we take this angle or that angle? What about that competitor? But it's also emotionally stimulating because it's all about the right timing. Oh, if we are too early, oh, that's too early. If we are too late, oh, that's too late. So what's the right moment? Oh, now. So it's both intellectually and emotionally stimulating. That's why I do it. And the team at Strategy Sprints, we're having fun helping people scale faster than they would without blueprints, without proven processes.
I love that. We call that strategy stress, right? Because there's so many people in the industry telling us what to do. And you're like, who do I listen to? And I find people go, listen to Simon, listen to Susie. And then they're trying to Band-Aid, bubblegum, shoestring, duct tape a strategy. It's like, no. Pick your coach. Pick the person. Be consistent. It takes a minute, especially at that level, right? If you're at 350 and then you want to scale it to 1 million, 2 million, 5 million, you can't be jumping around, right? So you're not jumping around in relationships, when you're ready to be in a relationship. Before that, you can jump around all you want.
Yes. I don't listen to anybody. And I would not recommend to listen to anybody except your users, your markets. So those data. So who do I listen to? Of course, I have coaches from year to year and I learn, but who do I really listen to? My market data. So every 7 days, we will explore the daily habit, the weekly habit, the monthly habit. And the weekly habit is really, what's the marketing number of this week? What's the sales number of this week? What's the ops number of this week? That's the sprint dashboard. Because the sprint is 12 weeks, 12 sprints. And now every Friday, we look at this dashboard. And this dashboard is telling me my reality. And so that's the only thing that I listen to. Of course, I take inspiration and I have coaches and I have courses and books and all this wonderful stuff. And I say, yes, let's try it. And I give it a try. But what will be the answer if it's working or not? The sprint dashboard will tell me on Friday, because that's telling me this works, this doesn't.
Okay, you just opened up a can of worms because everybody wants the sprint dashboard. So let's just say
So we can go
how
there.
do they get this sprint dashboard? Because everybody wants that now.
Yeah, it's one of the free gifts that we will give at the end. So they go to strategysprints.com/tools and they can download them. They're open source. It's pretty simple. The core of the strategy sprints method is a daily habit, a weekly habit, and a monthly habit. Because 95% is not in your control. Supply chain is not in your control. Markets are not in your control. Prices are not in your control. So what the heck is in your control? The 3 habits. I call them the 3 CEO habits. Daily, write down how you allocate your time. Decide what will you delegate or automate tomorrow. Weekly habit. Show me in real time the marketing number, singular, the marketing number, the sales number, and the ops number of this week. You pick the most important one, the one that will tell you if you're moving in the right direction at the right pace. We help you as sprint coaches, but then you define it and we will measure that every 7 days. The dashboard will show you what's working of all your activities, which one are working, which one are not. So latest every 7 days, you stop doing some things that are not working and you do more of what's working for you. That's why I say I don't listen to anybody. Of course, I take all the wisdom of everybody, and if it clicks, I'm going to try it up until Friday. And on Friday, the dashboard tells me if for me right now, this is working or not. Because all these beautiful tools, you have to see if they work for you right now.
I love it. All these beautiful tools. Now, if you're like me, and Simon is totally speaking my love language right now because he's giving us spreadsheets, and we love spreadsheets. I love it because data doesn't lie, right? It tells us the story of what's really happening. It as a young entrepreneur, it had me get out of my emotions, right? Of we had a good week, we had a bad week, we had a good week, we had a bad week, we had a good week, because that's business, right? But when you're young in business, and sometimes even in your season, you let that bad week or just the cycle of business, crush you and go, okay, I suck. No. Let's put the stick down. Don't say you suck. Let's just be in the juice of it, right? So we don't ever start with a giveaway, but you just drop the bomb like, oh, look, and tossed it. Here, I got this thing for you, and this thing that works for my clients, which is incredibly generous. So thank you for that. We appreciate that and love that. So we'll make sure we put that in the show notes. But listen, because we're going to go over gold. So let's talk about how do we identify the bottleneck? Because I think right now, and the beauty of COVID and the pandemic, and there's always something, right? A recession, depression, pandemic, some kind of something. In the history of business, it is what it is. You've been through them. I've been through them, the financial collapse. How do I identify where the bottleneck is and what do I do, right? Because I think so many people are in this confusion and overwhelm and shutdown. And we want to get them out of that. We want to snap out of it. Remember Moonstruck, snap out of it. And she slaps him in the face.
What most teams do is they have too many things running at once, too many activities. And when you run so many activities, the overall improvement is actually low. So how do you increase the overall improvement? By first finding the current bottleneck. The bottleneck is the current weakest part of your system. Let's say a business, if we simplify, is made of marketing, sales, operations, positioning, and mindset. Okay, these 5 things, and you have a business. Now, should you improve Instagram this week? Should you improve your cold calling? Should you improve the website? 100 possibilities. So what a sprint coach will help you identify in 8 minutes is what's the current bottleneck. It's the weakest part. And one of the questions that they use is, if you 10x next week, which part breaks first? And so you go through them, marketing, sales, operations. Yeah, maybe you can sell 10 times more, but can you deliver? In this case, operations would be your bottleneck. Or yeah, you can deliver, but you get so stressed. So mindset will be your bottleneck, because you have to also to be energetically ready to do that. If tomorrow Oprah Winfrey calls me and says, Simon, hop on stage, I'm not ready. I'm not ready for it. You have to be ready for that. You have to train a couple of years every day to be ready for that level. So what are you ready for? The bottleneck is always the weakest part. And if you just put some activities, some attention, some energy per week into solving the bottleneck first, and then when that is solved, next week you move to the next bottleneck, you have much higher impact and much higher throughput is the technical word, than if you just improve everything a little bit. So you do a little bit of Instagram and a little bit of LinkedIn and a little bit of improving the onboarding system. Instead, one bottleneck after the other. So that's why we have a 90 days game plan. It's 12 bottlenecks that we solve in a specific order. Sales bottleneck, operations bottleneck, marketing bottleneck, positioning bottleneck, mindset bottleneck. And you have to find the current one. And that order is very individual. So it depends on your team right now. But in 8 minutes, you can quickly identify it. And then you focus for this week. Everybody in the team just works on solving this.
I love it. It's so clear and concise. And so what had you geek out about putting these systems and structures together? What propelled you to focus on this? Because a lot of people teach theory, right? You give tools. That's I love it. It's just meat and potatoes, right? Yes, we all need motivation, but at the end of the day, I need the it to solve my challenge. So what had you start this business, the way that you're doing it? Like, what was your original passion?
So yesterday, I had a human design expert on my show, and she did some live charting, and she nailed it. She said, Simon, you are a generator, and your type, I never knew nothing about it. And she said, you are a scientific investigator. That's what drives you. You want to break through things. You want to do things. You only believe in things that you do yourself with your hands. And you don't listen to anybody. You just do stuff. And when it works, then it's a proven system. And when it's a proven system, you share it. I said, that's the story of my life. And she says, yeah, I see this from the chart. So, but that's actually really what I do. So I don't believe any tactics or any strategies, because yes, they might work, but I have to find out on my own. So first, I explore territory. Let's see if I send a daily email, maybe it's even better than weekly. I don't know until I try. So I try it, found out daily is better. So then I share it. I create a spreadsheet. I create a 5 minutes video. I show everybody the numbers and how they change, and that becomes a module in the Sprint University. That's my passion. I love to put together different stuff to explore new territory. And when I find something, and because I have the courage to do it, it's my nature. I like to explore new territory. And when I find something, I'm so proud. I come back and say, look what I found. And that's then the tool that I share with everybody, because what's the most joyful thing to do when you have abundance? The most joyful thing is sharing that. It doubles my joy.
Yes, I love that. So let's look at what are the habits that I need as a CEO? Like, what are the 3 habits that we need to be focusing on? Because there's
daily,
100,
weekly,
right?
monthly. Daily, write down how did you spend your time today, and select which of those tasks will tomorrow be delegated, outsourced, or automated. One of those is a time waster. You need to move to the next higher level. So pick one, and tomorrow you will delegate it to a software or to a person or to an outside person, outsource. That's the daily habit. And not just the owner, everybody in the team does that, because everybody is a leader in their field. Everybody leads.
So daily, weekly, monthly. So we're doing that for each thing until we eliminate minutia and the time wasters, and only working on the highest income producing activities.
That's daily. And this is how you scale, because when everybody does that, for example, my colleague Michelle, who came in like 5 years ago as a VA in the marketing department. Now she runs the marketing department. She hires people that I don't even know who they are for a couple of weeks at least until they show up in the meetings, because she does the same thing. She does the daily habit. She realizes that manual entry, data entry of the CRM, she should be delegating that. She's doing the same thing that I did. So that's a daily habit. This is how you identify what to automate next, what to systemize next, what to write down as an SOP, standard operating procedure. Because everybody says, yeah, you have to scale, you have to automate. Yeah, but which one today? And this is how you identify it, by going through your tasks of today and picking one. The one that was lowest leverage, the one that you want to get rid of, the one that is easiest to hand over.
What I love is it's simple, right? Which it is simple. I always tell my clients, it doesn't have to be hard. It has to be strategic. And so you're giving the strategy, and I love that it's reflecting more. My old business partner, I used to come in his office. He'd be sitting there. I'm like, what are you doing? And I'm like, I'm all chop, let's get to work. And he goes, I'm thinking about what's the right process. I'm like, well, that's a waste of time. Like my naivety, right? As a young business person, he goes, no, Susie, you need to stop and reflect on what you're doing and why you're doing it, and quit being in the dig, right? I need you to like get out of it, because you're so much in it that you're no different than Julie or Steve, which are our employees, right? Who are amazing. He goes, so until you learn to slow down, to speed up, you'll never get where you want to be. You'll always be in the grind and the dig. And I'm like, okay. But it's
exactly,
I love saying it. The way you said it feels so much better than the way he said it, but I get it. It's the same saying, right?
Same thing. We call it the daily flow. People can download it on strategysprints.com. It's a daily flow. I write down what I did today, and then 5 minutes, it asks me 2 questions. One is, okay, of all these things, which one will you delegate tomorrow? And the second is, if you would live more freely and more intentionally, what will you do tomorrow?
And so let's
informed by that.
The difference between the agile company and the rigid company.
Yeah.
I think I've had both, right? I had a rigid company. It is the rule, it is the SOP, it is the, so let's talk about both of them.
Yes. The rigid company cannot react quickly to stuff that happens, and the agile company can. So how do you build an agile company? If you have kids, you know the difference between Duplo and Lego. Duplo is big parts, and if you have a horse out of Duplo, that's just a horse, nothing else. Lego is very small parts. If you have a horse out of Lego, you can recombine those into a house, into a fireman, into a dog.
Right.
That's agile. So same elements, but you can recombine them differently. And the difference is only the modularity. Every engineer knows modularity. So you pick something, you break it down into its simplest components, but those components can be built together as the whole thing. They can also be recombined into different things.
Yes.
This is how you have an agile company. So for example, our Sprint University is 274 modules. A module is a video, a template, and a prompt, a homework for you, a process that you have to do in 3 hours. So that's one module. If somebody says, I want to double revenue in 90 days, and I'm a software business, then the sprint coach knows exactly, oh, I take module 78, module 16, module 41, and I put it together. Oh, are you a B2B or B2C SaaS? Oh, okay, 16F. So for the client, it's totally customized. It's exactly what they need right now. But for your team, it should always be ready in modules, because they don't need to reinvent the wheel.
Right.
If you're a pro, if you focus on one thing, and that's maybe something worth sharing, that why should you really focus on one thing for a while? And when I say a while, I mean 10 years. Because then you can modularize.
You just threw it. And when I say a while, I mean 10 years. Like that's true. Speak the truth, Simon. Speak the truth.
I'm doing one thing since 21 years, and it's not boring, as you can feel. It's still exciting. And You build those modules, they are ready or semi-ready. And so for your team, it's so much easier to just recombine them. If you're a knowledge worker, don't think that you have to start every project anew and reinvent the wheel. There are some parts of the projects that you can modularize and keep ready. And then you do plug and play. Okay, next project, plug and play, next project. This is how you scale the number of clients that you can take in per unit of time, per week, per month.
I love it. So talk about the speed versus velocity, because that really works inside of Agile and Rigid.
And now you can build a ton of stuff that would be speed, but speed alone, it's actually not worth anything, because you can run a marathon at the fastest person, but in the wrong direction. So velocity is direction including speed, or speed in the right direction. That's from physics. And it says, what's the direction? What's the right direction? And this ties back to the weekly habit. So we had the daily habit around the time, the weekly habit, one marketing number, one sales number, one ops number of this week in one simple spreadsheet, dashboard. It's visual in front of you, and it tells you two things. Are we going in the right direction at the right pace? That's your velocity. And so you will only know when you measure it. You run your activities, you look at those three numbers, are they going up? It's working. It's simple as that. And what is the benchmark? The benchmark is your same team last week. So, and 1% would be great. If you can get 1% better next week in these same metrics, amazing. Then you are very resilient. You are unstoppable, actually, because it compounds. So we meet on Friday and I say, okay, what's the difference here? What are the variations? And then my colleagues say, oh, this one, it's a 0.8. So it's 0.8 improvement from last week. Let's say number of email subscribers, the marketing number of subscribers, or the sales number, a dollar amount. And then the ops number can be number of client referrals, client that referred us to other clients. Let's say that number went up 0.8%. We are happy, and we make some sounds and we go, wow, 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 yeah, who did this? You did this, congrats, all right. And we're happy. It's just a 0.8% increase, but we know that we are moving in the right direction.
Right, you
at
do
the right
that every
pace.
week. You do that every week, and at the end of the year, wah 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 wah.
Exactly. And it's easy to repeat it because you know it's working, you know you can do it. So okay, we repeat it and make it a little bit more intense.
Right. Juicy. Okay, let's shift strategies just a little bit. So love the meat and potatoes. So let's talk about what has been your biggest failure in business, and then what'd you learn? It could be your life too, because sometimes that's bigger than business. So what, I call them failures, learning, challenges, whatever you want to call it. And then what'd you learn from it in all your years of it being in business?
My biggest failure was investing in Luna. It tanked in 4 hours. And that is tied to something that I learned very, 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 very late.
What was Luna?
Luna is this blockchain coin, so-called stable coin that was everything but stable.
Right.
And so I bought a bunch of crap.
Yes.
And so this was the thing that I really didn't learn, whether at school nor from my parents. How do you grow money from money?
Right.
Because I knew only the other side. How do you generate money? I'm great at creating revenues. And
Right.
Then I learned how to create revenue systems. And so I thought, all right, if you want to grow money, you just have to bring in projects, more projects, bigger projects. I became very good at that. But after 20 years, I realized, wait a moment. First, there is a limit in that, just a time per day limit. And second, what do you do with it then? Especially after inflation and the losing of purchasing power came in. And I was like, wait a moment. The real inflation is 15%. So if I just have it on my bank account, it's losing 15% every year.
Yes.
I don't like that. I have to learn how to grow money from money. So I have to learn the investor skills. And I didn't. I had some real estate, but I was bad in stocks.
Right.
And so I learned stocks investment. And I created, of course, as a systems guy, I started creating my own investment systems, right? How do I create a portfolio? What size to allocate, rebalance? So that was my biggest mistake, was not knowing what to do with money. And I'm learning this. It's now 3 years that I am on this journey, and I'm getting better every week. And I finally realized, and if you're listening, start early, learning how to grow money from money, even if you just save a couple $100 per month, but get them to work for you. And ideally, you save 50% of your profits and you get them to work every week or every month.
I love it. Grow money from money. So then what
Mm.
has been, because this show is called Power Your Profit, what has been your wealth strategy? And I love that you're fresh in it, right? And you're still young, right? I started at 25. Luckily, I had a really good, I was in a networking group, and Suzanne Latour sat me down. And I'm like, I'm young. I'm just, making money and spending it. She goes, what are you doing? No, we don't need
Yeah.
shoes. You don't need another outfit. I see you're done. Let's take that money and invest it. I'm like, okay.
Yes.
But just what a
Yes.
great friend to just be honest, to go, you don't need another pair of shoes, although I do like shoes. I'm just saying.
Great
So what's
investment.
been your wealth strategy now that, now you know? And part of it,
Yeah.
to everyone, because, I invested in a company, it was back in the dot-com days, it was a lot of money back then. And, I got a letter one day, oh, sorry, we couldn't make it work. What do you mean you couldn't make it work? That's not an option.
My wealth strategy is pretty simple. So every week, I take 50% of the profits. And the profits means it's surplus money. Okay, I don't need to spend it. I don't need it the next 6 months.
Right.
So I invest it. And the investment buckets are 30% real estate, 30% stocks, equities, and 30% digital assets, crypto assets. That's my distribution, right? And then, of course, part of it is cash. And in a bear market like now, I have a higher cash position, let's say 15%, 20%. And in a bull market, I try to have 0% cash. I want to be all in the market while it works. So right now I have a higher cash position because right now it's shopping time. It's a bear market heading into a recession. So now it's time to be in cash and to buy soon cheap.
Right.
So, and in those buckets, those 30%, my real estate is very passive things. In my region, the best thing is to have big complexes with very small apartments in there that are near infrastructure, because that's the easiest to handle. And that's what people always need. So I have that thing, and that's very passive. It's managed by other people and it's passive. Then stocks, only stocks that I understand. And my favorite ones right now, I'm sharing them on my YouTube channel, are Google, Tesla, Amazon, and Apple. Whenever they dip slightly by 2%, 5%, 10%, I buy more. They dip 15%, I go all in. And also Berkshire Hathaway, because those are long-term value creation and they are strong in cash flow. They are the winners. Nothing will happen to them. Whatever happens, they're going to grow.
Right.
And so these are the stocks. And then in crypto, I go Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Solana right now. Just the three, for my perception, strongest horses. And I have a DCA plan. DCA means every Friday, a specific amount, a set amount gets bought automatically. The biggest one is Bitcoin, and then 2 small amounts in Ethereum and Solana, because I don't want to think about it. I want the emotions out.
Right.
That's my investing system. And once a week, I look at the overall allocation and the sizes, and if it's right, or if I need to rebalance. And I study what's going on in the world technologically and the macro politics, and know if I have to change my thesis. That maybe Google is not a winner anymore, or Tesla is not a winner anymore, then I would sell them.
Right. I love the way your little mind thinks, right? So you said you had a YouTube channel. Let's share everybody how to get a hold of you, because you've just dropped diamonds today. So how do
Yes.
they get a hold of you? I love the strategysprint.com/tools. And it's not one tool, right? I love when people give lead generators a stupid checklist or something that's just, you're like, really? I just gave my email address for that, because, email address is gold. This is gold, you guys. He's given us gold. Like, how many spreadsheets are on there?
I think 15 or 17.
Yeah, I'm like
Yeah, we're
20. It looks
generous.
like 20. I'm trying to count them, So,
Maybe meanwhile it's 20. Yeah, we're generous with it because, we want to create value. And if we create value, some of those will want to talk more to us. That's the idea.
right. So, how do they get a hold of you? How do they follow you? Follow you on YouTube, follow you on social. Give us that scoop.
Yes. So we hang out at strategysprints.com. I just wrote a book where I share in-depth checklist blueprints. It's called Strategy Sprints. It's on Amazon right now. And people tell me that they are saving a ton of time and nerves, and their business runs smoother and scale faster just by the book. So that's one thing. And then I share my journey of being a beginner investor on YouTube. That channel is called Simon Severino. And there I share basically what I'm learning about this investor thing, how to find the right assets, how to rebalance, what's a hard asset versus a weak asset, etc.
I love it. So, if you love systems like me and you geek out, Simon needs to be on your hot list. Must read, must watch, must challenge, must have an appointment, must work with. Simon, thank you so much for your time today. Thank you for who you are in the world. Thank you for being so generous with your intellectual asset and with your time. We appreciate you. I adore you. Thank you so much. Anything you want to leave us with?
Thank you, Susie, for showing up every day since years for your community and for being so generous. And everybody, keep rolling.
Keep growing. Simon, have a blessed day. Go enjoy your family. It's his end of the day, my beginning of the day. I love global business, and I love the opportunity to spend time with you anytime I can. Have a blessed day.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of Power Your Profits podcast. Let these building blocks from today's most successful industry leaders equip you with the necessary resources and tools to finally establish the highly profitable business of your dreams. Want to hear more? Listen to more episodes at https://poweryourprofitspodcast.com. And don't forget to subscribe to the show. Now is your time to rise to the top of your game, so be sure to catch our next episode. Until next time.